Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Limp Noodle Lifestyle YouTube channel. So today we're going to be going over something that I'm sure all you guys have looked at. I'm cheap like you, right? I don't have a ton of money to just throw away. And, you know, we really wanted a lift to work on. So I was all over eBay looking at stuff and we find these cheap Chinese lifts. They seem like a good unit. They're like 1,500 bucks brand new, but something that cheap, got to be something wrong with it, right? Well, I took the plunge so that you don't have to, just not knowing what I was doing or where this was gonna go. So today I'm gonna go over some of these lifts with you guys and do just an all-around review. So stick around, find out what's good. Let's start right here. So what I have here is an L1000 Chinese piece of equipment, straight off of eBay's, right? The L1000, we got all our safety warnings right here. They make sure you're not gonna drop this thing on yourself or kill somebody. Here's all your specs. If you guys can see that really good. And you know, your basic controls. We have our up button, our down lever, and a fill spot, pretty basic. So my first, and you can get these with the plate down low, or you can get it going across the top. That's a different model, but it's basically the same. The L1000 is a 10,000 pound lift, or rated 10,000 pounds. I wouldn't doubt it can lift that because we've lifted like F250, extended cab, stuff like that with it. I gotta say, guys, I like this lift. It's not bad. Going to like right at the beginning, if you decide that you're gonna take that plunge and you're gonna order one of these things, this is how it's pretty much gonna go, okay? You go on eBay, you hit buy, right? At that point, they walk you through the shipping because they're not gonna ship it to, you know, somebody's house. You know, they got no way to get it off the truck. They require somewhere with a forklift. So they won't ship to residential address, or at least they used to not. They will ship to any commercial address as long as it has a forklift. Or if you live in a bigger city, bigger town, you might have an industrial area that will actually receive shipping orders, and they'll, you know, unload it onto a trailer for you. You know, they'll ship it there, you can go pick it up, and they'll put it on a trailer. And that's exactly what we did. I didn't have a forklift. I have this nice shop. I really like this shop, but I don't have a forklift, so they wouldn't send it to me. So what I had to do is I actually found a place in town that accepts shipping orders, you know, and it cost me $150 to have it shipped from wherever these things are at in China all the way to there. And it was awesome. They called me when it came in, and they're like, hey, we have your delivery here. And I just went with my car trailer, my flatbed car trailer, and they brought it out in this big steel crate that it comes in, and they forklifted it right onto my trailer. They weren't exactly gentle, you know, but they got it on there and everything was good. So at that point, we just trailered it back to the shop and we started setting it up. Now these things come with pretty much everything you need. You know, you would think that's something to cheap out of, you know, that's what they would cheap out on, is you wouldn't come with bolts or wouldn't come with something like that. But it comes with, you know, all these bolts to put it in, these anchor bolts, the nuts. It comes with these spacers for the feet so you can lift things up. They do have quick removable adjustable pads, just like anything else. They have locks and they swivel out. Now these things, I mean, it comes with, like I say, all the anchors, and it actually comes with shims too, in case your floor is really jacked up. And we did at our last shop, the floor was really, really bad. So we ended up using every shim they had, which was a decent amount. They actually send you a decent amount of shims. We used shims, we had to use, you know, nuts, all kinds of stuff, and we got that done. It comes with the pump, the motor, everything you need there. It has your basic controls, your up and down, you know, up button, down lever. These models do have individual locks. So if this thing goes up, you got to come out, pull the cable on this side, pull the cable on this side, and then come back around to drop it down with your lever. Okay, so it's pretty safe. It's a little, you know, I know some stuff you just have the one lock and it adjusts both sides, which is cool. Unfortunately, this didn't have it. So that's like really the only downside, if you ask me. Everything else was was really good. So the other thing is, as far, okay, so that's how they come, right? And everything's disassembled. So everything inside of here is just kind of chilling inside here. It's just free floating, and you have to kind of put all this stuff together. It's not hard. It's pretty easy. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't believe this thing came with any directions. We just had to figure it out. But mainly it's just, you know, standing this guy up, making sure he's mounted, running the cables up through the pulleys, and then you have like a shut-off switch up there that gets wired up so that when it gets too high, it'll just stop. You know, it won't let you go any farther. And it does have nice door pads on it too. I remember putting those on. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic. Now, I've had this particular machine for about 3 years. And in 3 years, we really haven't had any issues. We had one issue here recently. It's the first and only issue that we've had. And that is that we had the seals in the top of these cylinders started leaking right here. So these guys just started, it started on this side, started pouring out as we were going up, stuff like that. It still operated and did its job, but these seals started to leak. And, you know, we kind of left it for a while, as unsafe as that might be. I don't know, but we risked it for the biscuit because we're cheap and we're always busy and we didn't really have time. So we did leave them, and you know, after a while, the one was leaking, then the other one started leaking, and we decided we had to do something about it. The only time it really leak is if we left it up on the locks. You know, there's times when we'll leave this machine, you know, we'll leave a car on it for months. That's happened before, and just leave it up in the air. So probably not the best idea to do that, but we do it. So yeah, those seals started leaking and we had to have them repaired. I was gonna just try to, you know, do it myself, but I didn't have time. So I ended up calling a local company that does lift sales and repair. And they, you know, the guy kind of informed me right off the bat when I told him. I was like, well, it's, you know, this model lift, got it on eBay. It's one of those cheap deals. He was very familiar. He's like, listen, I know a lot of people that use these things, and you should know right off the bat that it's not gonna be as easy as it should be. He said this is where the downfall starts with these machines, is that, you know, they're not very consistent. So like if you got a name brand machine, he said, you could just tell me the model of the machine, I could look it up in my computer, I could get you 2 new seals, have a tech come out, swap them out, pop them in, and it'd be done. It'd still be, you know, a few $100, you know, you got labor and the seals are usually $100+ each. And so, you know, you might still be around $400 to do that. But with these machines, the problem with them is that the parts are very inconsistent. He said those cylinders, the bore size where the seal sits in is never the same. He said, I've done dozens of them and not ever are the same seal. So he said, what I have to do is I have to send a tech out. He has to pull the cylinders out of your machine, bring it back to our shop. We'll pull the seals out, we'll measure the bore, we'll find the right seal and put them in and bring them back. He said it could be upwards of $800 max. He said, I really don't think it'll get there, but it could be. So I said, well, let's do it. Let's get it done. And they came, they took them, and they brought them back. And he ended up sending me pictures that night. He popped the seals out and the cylinders were roached. And that was just kind of my own unique situation. I don't know if it was from just, you know, coming overseas and there being some moisture in there and it rusted and it started to pit the cylinder walls and going up and down, ruined it. The fluid was all good, so we didn't know why that happened, but he said, dude, it's really pitted. So we have 2 options, you know. He said, we can either take these cylinders and have them honed out and then find a seal to fit. But he said, if we do that, there's a chance. He said, we don't know how deep this pitting is or how thick these walls are. So there's a chance that if we hone them too far, we'll go through and they'll be junk. You'll have to get new cylinders anyway. The other option being that you just get new cylinders, which, you know, hundreds of dollars per side, whatever. So I said, well, let's try to hone them. And so they took them. It was successful. That all worked out. Then he's like, well, now that we've honed them, there's not a seal that exists that fits this thing, you know? So I was like, well, that's great. So basically they had to make custom seals for it. And after all this, guys, after all this joke, I mean, it took like a week and a half, which should have taken, them a couple hours. Ended up taking a week and a half. Our lift was down, which isn't a big deal for us because we just use it for recreational stuff. But after all this, it still came out to like $821. It was way more work than it should have been. But at the end of the day, it's a $1,500 machine. I did look them up. They're not $1,500 anymore. Go figure. They are, they're about $2,000, $2,500 for a new one. So I did actually contemplate just buying a new machine, saying the heck with it, but it just wasn't viable. I was like, even if it comes up to $800, 3 years ago I spent $1,500 on this thing. Now $800. It's basically the price of a new one altogether over time, and I don't have to go through all the work of pulling this one out, putting a new in, etc. So that's what we did, and I don't regret it one bit. It works phenomenal again, and I really don't think you'd have many issues. I would not use these things in a professional shop setting. To me, that just seems silly. If you're running a business, you should probably invest in name brand quality equipment that everybody is familiar with. That way, if something goes down or something goes wrong, bada bing, bada boom, she's fixed up, she's working good in a couple hours, you're back in business. But with this stuff, it ain't gonna be that way. It's a little more complicated than that. So for, normal just recreational use, if you're a hot rodder, if you're a guy that likes to flip cars here and there, stuff like that, dude, by all means, I would say buy one of these things because they are very good working machines. I have this one. My buddy Sam down the road, he has one, and he bought his like a year ago. So it's a little bit different model. It's the same type of thing. It's really cheap. They're both, pretty good quality lifts. He loves his. He hasn't had any issues with his. It's a pretty sweet deal. These things go up, I want to say 6'5" or something like that. I'm 5'8", so I have no problem. It goes up high enough. If it's on the top lock, I can stand underneath that thing straight up. It can be above me a bit, and I have to stand on my tippy toes to reach certain things, So it's plenty good for me. If you're a super tall guy, even 6 foot guys, I'd say go with this. You might have to crouch here and there. It's not that big a deal, I don't think. But it goes up a good amount. It goes up quickly. I know I've used some lifts that were cheaper that honestly weren't even as cheap as this, and they go up so freaking slow. You can stand there for 15 minutes, and it's just the worst thing in the world. So I'm really glad about that. It does go up at a decent pace, at an average pace, and it goes down super fast. I actually don't usually pull the lever all the way down because it'll roll out going down. So operational wise, it really works well. The locks, they always work perfectly. Things work well. The 2 lock cables that you have to pull rather than just one really isn't that big a deal to me. Sure, it's not as convenient, but whoopity-doo. I don't know. It's not that big a deal to me. If that bothers you guys, maybe you should be spending the money on like really nice stuff because that's a minute thing in my mind. But yeah, man. So let me just give you a preview here. You'll see just how quickly this thing goes up and how well it goes down. And this is like no weight, so it'll probably be pretty slow. But we have put all kinds of vehicles on these things. So we'll lift it up. And it's going pretty quick. And it goes about the same speed with a vehicle on it. And you can hear the locks pop. So say we get our vehicle up, then we can come down here, we can press this lever, and it'll drop down to the locks. It'll sit on the locks, okay? So at this point, you can get under work on your stuff. If you want to take it back down, you just hit the button to go up. You come off them locks a little bit. Come out. Pull the old levers. Pa-pow, pa-pow. and put her down. And right now it's going kind of slow because there's literally no weight on it, but it'll speed up. It actually goes, you know, a little too fast for if you crank this lever all the way down. We've lifted, you know, this S10, that's about a 3,600 pound vehicle without me in it. You know, that's a LS turbo setup. We've lifted this Camaro many times, and these have both stood on this lift for weeks, months at a time. You know, up and down thousands of times. You know, we've put that Cutlass on it. We've put all kinds. I lifted a golf cart with this thing. It fits, it ships. Up it went. So, you know, I had to do a little bit of work on a golf cart. We lifted it up and it worked phenomenally, man. The vans, so I have a company, we use work vans. It lifts those, and those are like a, you know, 6,000 pound van plus the equipment that's in it. So if this is a 10,000 pound rated unit, I really wouldn't doubt it, because we've gotten pretty close. My buddy's F250 extended cab, that's, you know, that's got to be a 7,000, 6,000 pound vehicle. You know, it lifts all that, and it doesn't struggle at all. Like I say, all we've had is one issue with it, kind of a big one, whatever, but 3 years it took to do that. My buddy hasn't had a single issue with his yet. He's had that probably a year and a half now. If you're looking at buying one of these and you're not sure, okay, it's cheap, you just don't know, I'm saying get it. You know, that's my advice. I would go out and I'd get it again. As a matter of fact, I just might. I'd really like to have another one in the future, and if I do, it's probably going to be one of these, because I do know that they work well. Yeah, I don't know. The 4-post ones, I haven't checked on those, but these ones work really, really, really well. If you're wondering, like I say, I recommend this exact one being an L1000, but I have a feeling they are all the same. So that, I think, is our review on these lifts, guys. And you can tell me what you think in the comments. You think I'm crazy or whatever, but I like it. I love it, and I want some more of it too. So if you guys are interested in this stuff, I'm going to do more of these videos. We use a lot of cheap stuff. We use a lot of Harbor Freight tools, a lot of, you know, I'm an average guy, right? So I can't just go out spending all my money on this stuff, but I still want to do it. I still love my hot rods, and we're going to get down to it. So if you guys want to see more content like this, we'll also be doing content on this little bugger here. And like I said, that's a turbo LS setup, fairly new. We just kind of finished up on this, and it's still got a lot of work to do, but same thing here, you know, the LS1, and then we still got some work to do here, but it's almost good to go. That's another one. This is going to be an extensive build. This is an 87 Cutlass Supreme. I got a really cheap roller shell here. It's really clean. It had a big block in it that they pulled out, and we just happened to get this for super cheap. So we're gonna build this thing, and it's gonna be nasty. We got a good table full of parts. She's just about ready to go together, including that 4-liter Whipple. If you guys have ever messed with Whipple, in my experience, it has been very difficult. So I will guide you through all that. We're going to be doing a pretty interesting build on this. This is also an LS, but it's interesting, and we'll go over that. So this is going to be pumping up tons of power. We're going to take this to the track. We're going to do a lot of things with it. So if you want to see this kind of stuff, guys, follow along on the Limp Noodle channel, and we'll see you again soon.